Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tips with Tony's Topic Tuesdays. For those who are watching on Facebook, you're probably very happy to see that I'm on my original Facebook page, not my Tips with Tony page. And it's really just because of the fact that I want to bring more traction in my Tips with Tony page, but it's not really working so much on Facebook because Facebook doesn't want me to use it as a business, so here we are. Thank you for tuning in. I'm really excited. Tonight's topic is going to be super, super fun. For those are new of you on Instagram, hi, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be looking at my Facebook screen just because it's easier for me to download the video and upload it onto my channel. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hi. Okay. So before we get started, I like to introduce myself. I have new people that come to my page on a regular basis, and I just wanted to say my name is Tony. I am a registered dietitian, and I am a proud business owner of Diet Tips with Tony Marinici, MSRD LLC. So it's a mouthful, but it's something I'm super proud of. I now provide online nutrition counseling to people mostly in the New York area, but if you need help in another state, I can see what I can do to help you. All my services are done online, and it really allows for flexible scheduling, and I can really keep we can keep appointments because weather isn't a factor and all those fun things. I'm also a podcaster, so I have the Tips with Tony podcast. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Libsyn, or YouTube. And each week I provide little tips. The episodes are like 5, maybe 10 minutes long, of little simple things you can do to apply to your everyday lifestyle. So if you have not subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, please do it. And write a nice review if you're feeling really, really nice. That would be really awesome. It would be really awesome if you could do that. I also was just a guest on the In Fighting Shape podcast. So follow them, like them, subscribe to them. And that topic is all about, we break down like every single diet, from the ketogenic diet to even just the vegan diet, paleo, intermittent fasting. I mean, we go through every single one of those diets. So if you're really interested in learning about those diets, you're wondering if they fit for your lifestyle, what's the science say, is it true, is it good, you're not so sure, you might want to follow In Fighting Shape and subscribe and listen to their most recent episode where I'm on as a guest. And then lastly, and then we'll get right into the foods that get you in the mood for Valentine's Day. Lastly, if you have not subscribed to the Gym Wits podcast, I'm on there regularly. It's a great podcast. It's nutrition and fitness together. The most recent episode, I haven't even listened to it yet. I wasn't on it, but it's basically about how you're being physically fit, how that reflects your bank account. So is there a correlation there? If you're more physically fit, do you have more money in the bank? Who knows? Let's listen to the Gym Wits podcast to find out. But I was just on there as well talking all about coffee. So if you're a big coffee drinker, if you love coffee, you might want to give that a listen. So really, really awesome content. If you don't have an iPhone, you can still download the Gym Wits app. You can listen there. And you can also just go onto YouTube, find it there, go to thegymwits.com, or you can go to my page, tipswithtony.com, to get some updates. So there's always new updates. So for those of you following on Instagram, thank you so much. I am looking at my Facebook screen because I'm going to be downloading this and putting it on my YouTube channel. It's just easier for me to do it on Facebook. So I got through all of the updates. So let's get into it. This is going to be a really fun episode. I'm super excited about it. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so we're all wondering, what are those foods to get you in the mood? What's going to make me want to be with my spouse or my significant other? Maybe you're not having the best relationship and you really want to spice it up. So these are foods that are really going to help you to do that. So we know the most obvious ones, right? We know oysters, chocolate. What other foods do we think about? The aphrodisiac type of foods. Those are the most common foods that we think about. So those are the foods that are going to increase your desires. Now, why is that? So I'm a registered dietitian. As a registered dietitian, I always want to know, what does the science say? Is this true? Is it happening? What's happening? Why is it happening? So I did my research and I found out that oysters are known to be an aphrodisiac because they have a lot of different components, a lot of different nutrition components that show with increased hormone levels. Particularly for men, the increase of testosterone happens when you eat something like an oyster because of the amino acid component. It also has high levels of zinc. And it also has vitamin B12. So all of those are components that help to increase your blood flow and increase testosterone in the blood and in the body. And therefore, that's what's actually creating that desire to want to, get excited. So oysters, the reason being is because of the amino acids. All right. But it also has vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is basically what is going to help enlarge the blood vessels, this is where it's more particularly for men, that it's really going to help get them excited. So we want things that are high in vitamin B12 are basically animal sources. So animal meat, animal protein, great source of vitamin B12. So if you're not a fan of oysters, you can get in other sources of fish and what have you, other sources of even just animal protein. Are good sources of vitamin B12. Now, zinc is something else that helps increase testosterone, as well as magnesium and bromelain. So these are foods, things like pine nuts, Brazil nuts, bananas. It's like the most random things. Bromelain is found with bananas and pineapples. Magnesium are usually like your nuts, your seeds, your dried legumes, that sort of stuff. And these are things that, we all know that if we consume these foods sometimes, you might get like a little bit of a boost, right? Valentine's Day, you could have a nice salad, have some oysters for an appetizer, throw some pumpkin seeds on there. But overall, if you're looking to have a more enjoyable, pleasurable experience in the bedroom, I would recommend having these foods all the time. So it's not just a one-time thing. Same thing, like you can't just take a supplement and this is just going to work for you, right? It's a variety of different nutrients. What I found the most interesting through studying these foods is because if you Google search all these foods to put you in the mood, you're going to get lists and lists of foods. But my question as a registered dietitian, as someone who studies nutrition and studies science, is why? What's the reasoning behind it? Is there actually evidence behind it? And what I was finding was a lot of these foods support a healthy heart. They support enlarged blood vessels. They support increased blood flow. They support the general hormone production in our body that's supposed to be happening on a regular basis. The reason why people might have issues is because they might not be eating properly. So I just found that so interesting that it was pretty much the same recommendations that I would tell someone who came to me and was looking for cardiac guidelines and looking for ways to improve their heart and decrease their blood pressure. It's very similar recommendations, okay? So if you're just tuning in, we talked about things like oysters. We talked about just animal protein, mostly fish. The reason why fish is great is because it has a lot of the heart healthy fats. So the polyunsaturated fats, the monounsaturated fats, those are fats that support a healthy heart, which then increase blood flow, which then allows the men to be able to get excited to, I'm trying to keep this as PG as possible, but it's kind of hard. Also things like potassium, right? Potassium. So a lot of people who have high blood pressure, one of the symptoms of high blood pressure, it might be not being able to perform well in the bedroom. So being able to have more potassium-rich foods can help lower blood pressure. So incorporating foods that are high in potassium, like potatoes, tomatoes, avocados, strawberries, I'm trying to think of all the potassium, pomegranate, those are going to help lower blood pressure. That's going to help you to have better blood flow, right? So we know that. Another thing that I found really interesting was the antioxidant profile of these foods. So antioxidants, there's a ton of different ones. Lycopene is a big antioxidant. It's found in watermelons and tomatoes, and that's going to once again help with that blood flow. Vitamin E is in high dosages are in avocados. Those are really going to help with just vitality, feeling younger, you know, feeling more on the excited side, those sort of things. Vitamin C is another antioxidant that is something like, oh, really fun fact, in like the 15th or 16th century, like back in the day, sweet potatoes were known to be an aphrodisiac. And when I did my research, I found that sweet potatoes are high in potassium, as we know, high in vitamin A, high in vitamin C. So of course, then since they have vitamin C, vitamin A, potassium, it has antioxidants, it helps with blood pressure. The combination of those things is going to then therefore be considered an aphrodisiac. Very similar to the oyster. It doesn't just have one component, but it has three. It has zinc, it has vitamin B12, it has the amino acids that help with hormone production, particularly in men. So this is why we really want to incorporate more of these nutrient-dense foods. So the antioxidants, if we consume them on a regular basis, you're going to have, particularly, and this is more particular for women, they're going to have more regulated estrogen levels in their body. So that's why we want to be having these nutrient-dense foods. So if you notice, I haven't named anything like sugar pops or soda or iced tea, right? I'm talking about these natural occurring foods that if we incorporate on a regular basis, we're going to be a little bit more excited, right? Okay. Now, with that being said, there's some other things that are a little bit, but people might utilize like caffeine as a way to just get their heart rate up, to get excited. You know, that's fine. But the thing is with caffeine, any caffeine, there's a crash. So one thing that I did come across was chai tea. So the reason why people might use chai tea, and not the one with all the added sugar, because we know sugar, you go up and then you go back down. So just like a regular, like chai tea. Chai tea is basically a blend of black tea with like ground cinnamon and ginger and spices. Okay, spices are an antioxidant. Tea, chai tea, the caffeine will stimulate, get you excited. So that's the other reason why that caffeine might be effective. I'm trying to think if there's anything particular. Okay, so those are going to basically be, and this is like just a quick one. It was just more for fun. I thought it'd be a good idea for Valentine's Day to talk about these certain foods. So if you're looking to have a nice, like healthy dinner, you know, Valentine's Day dinner to set the mood for the evening, I recommend maybe starting with the appetizer, maybe some oysters or some sushi. You know, for dinner, maybe have like an arugula salad, dark leafy greens, antioxidant rich, some avocado, there's some vitamin E in there, you know, maybe some tomatoes, some cherries. Those are going to have the potassium, some olive oil, the poly and monounsaturated fats, and maybe then throw like a protein on there so you get your vitamin B12. And then for dessert, you could have dark chocolate covered strawberries, which dark chocolate releases the pleasure hormones in the brain, the dopamine hormone, and that's basically going to help get you excited once again. So these are all different foods that you can have to get you in the mood for Valentine's Day, all right? So if you want, I'm going to write a blog post about it to kind of recap, to go in greater detail, to explain why these foods are good and what's so good about them. And once again, what I found is that, of course, if you have a food one time, not going to really bring you much benefit. But if you incorporate these foods on a regular basis, you're going to find overall, you're going to have a much better, more desire to put you in the mood. That's all I can say. More regulated sex hormones, let's say that. Okay? But what I think, what is the most interesting that I found is a lot of these foods were natural whole foods that also were indicative of just, if you incorporate them, you're going to have just be healthier in general. Okay, so that is the takeaway. Okay, incorporate whole foods, a balance of foods. Just try to limit all the extra stuff because we know extra stuff will decrease our mood and not make us healthy, and just take away the practical things that come with ill health and not being able to perform. So that is really it for tonight. So I hope you guys you enjoyed this Tips with Tony Topic Tuesdays. I'm coming live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you who tuned in, I am creating 5 open slots for a 20-minute assessment call. You have to use the word love. So send me an email, tipswithtony@gmail.com. If you are interested in my nutrition counseling services, just write the word love and write I'm interested, or just write the word love to Tips with Tony. The first 5 emails that I get with that will get a 20-minute assessment call with me to see if what I could provide for you would be helpful for you when it comes to nutrition. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in. This video will go up on my YouTube channel tomorrow, as well as the Tips with Tony blog post related to this. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.